Welcome back to the homestead. You guys, it has been a hot minute, but I'm back. I've already made a water video. It's filmed in 4K on my phone. I just got to edit it because I've got some cool stuff to share when it comes to that. Honestly, I've got a video a night. I've just been too busy. But you know what? I just had a thought that rested down on me, and I'm going to share it with you. Do you have eyes to see? Do you have eyes to see? So many people don't have eyes to see. And if you're like me, you're like, how do I wake people up? Because if people aren't going to allow themselves to wake up, then there's almost nothing you can do to help them see that the world around us is crumbling and that it's time to prepare. The whole impetus of this channel, yeah, we've got a really cool greenhouse. Yeah, we've got like a lot of cool preps. The whole thing is to wake people up and for other people to start doing something. So just barely, we had this big revelation by Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, by the way, during the last election, I was putting my finger on the algorithm. Oh, but don't worry, I didn't want to. The government made me. And so I'm thinking about that and I'm like, oh, wow, slow clap. Mark Zuckerberg comes clean, you know? It's like 20 years after you wrecked Dad's Forerunner that you say, hey, Dad, by the way, that was me that wrecked the Forerunner. And Dad's like, yeah, duh, we knew that. Thanks for finally admitting it. So my point here is that if you couldn't see that back during the last election, then you were asleep. And that's okay. We're all asleep. We all wake up at different times. During that time, you can only imagine, my social media was heavily sequestered because I was warning people about certain things with the sickness and the solution to that sickness, the election, the way the votes were counted and so forth. All of those things had me in the crosshairs of my First Amendment rights because social media platforms were doing certain things to, I don't want to say I'm an influencer. Sure, certainly back then I wasn't an influencer, but I was an American citizen that suddenly I was relegated as if I was from China. You know, it was like 10 years prior to this, we all used to joke about how China had as a state-run media and they don't even get to say what they want. They don't even get to watch what they want. They control the media and the narrative is all controlled by the government. Well, suddenly that's happened to America. Now, the reason I'm talking about eyes to see, the Zuckerberg story just kind of really has me triggered because if you cannot look around and if you don't realize that we are on the verge of China-Taiwan, that we're on the verge of Iran-Israel, that we're on the verge of hyperinflation, that we're on the verge of shortages. You know, we have not just the monkeypox, which is coming up, but now there's this other mosquito-borne sickness. And we actually had Massachusetts doing voluntary shutdowns. And then we just had a death from that mosquito-borne illness in a different state. And so as I do the math, I hope that I am not connecting the dots when I say, oh, it's election season, so what's the election sickness? But the last time when a sickness came around, we were very quick to get fearful. Many people I know and love got fearful, and they were willing to trade their liberties for a little bit of security. You know, it's like, take away my liberty, just don't give me death. I mean, if we were the litmus test of the great experiment of liberty that our forefathers gave to us, we are the inheritors of that great gift. And if this was the litmus test on how we are doing with that great gift that they just gave to us in a silver, beautiful bow, we failed. During the pandemic, we failed. A lot of you were fearful and a lot of you wanted everybody to do what you did in response to the sickness. And a lot of people were willing to trample on someone else's rights for what they thought was right. Fast forward, they were wrong. They were wrong. But worse than them being wrong is them willing to restrict the freedoms of others. We had politicians saying that certain people couldn't have access to the economy because they wouldn't take an experimental something. They were wrong. That something was not safe, nor was that something effective. Eyes to see, because right now it's all happening again. And America is in the middle of this short-term memory loss dearth. We are all frogs in the boiling pot, and we've been in it so long. You know, if you watch my Ezra Eagle video, you have a prophet, Ezra, from the Apocrypha, warning us 2,500 years ago that there would be something occur in America during the Hoover administration. I mean, that's crazy. Go watch that video, by the way. And also, if you want, go watch the video that was done by Glenn Beck as he interviewed Michael Rush. And that'll give you a very great synopsis of what I'm talking about. But as second witness, you had a very inspired politician and then later church leader, Ezra Taft Benson, tell his whole congregation, a worldwide church, hey, you should read this book. And I'll bet you if I say this book on this video, the video will be hammered even more than it's already going to be, because I'm speaking my mind. How dare you speak your mind? You're an American. You can't speak your mind. I mean, you have First Amendment privileges, but it's only... Oh, sorry. I'm talking in this way because I have to hurry and make this video because my daughters just barely had Pride and Prejudice read to them. So we are doing a movie night tonight instead of reading time. We're watching Pride and Prejudice. I know all you dudes are judging me, but hey, I've got 5 girls, I've got 4 boys, and when it's time to be the girl's daddy, I'm the girl's daddy. They might be painting my toenails while we're watching this, baby. Anyway, what was I saying? I went off on a tangent. Okay, you can imagine from the chop in the video, yes, I lost my train of thought as that squirrel called Pride and Prejudice, danced across my brain. The book is, I'm going to say it in parts. The first part is none dare, and then after that it's call it a, and then the last word, conspiracy. So President Benson, as a former Department of Agriculture, so someone who was in government, in a cabinet position, working directly with the president, and then later became a church leader, he recommended to his whole congregation to read that, and I'll bet if you surveyed the congregation, there's maybe 1% who's actually read the book. But anyway, in that book, this was pointed out by another podcaster who lives over in England. Sorry, I don't know his name, or I'd reference it right here. But he did a video on Ezra's Eagle as well. And he says, did you know that book that was recommended by President Benson for all church members to read, that book says that the conspiracy began six administrations prior to when the book was read, which that administration would have been ding, 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 Hoover. So President Benson's warning about Hoover through this book. Ezra, a 2,500-year-old prophet, is warning about something that happened during Hoover. And it just so happens that Hoover was one of the founders of the Council on Foreign Relations. Again, do you have eyes to see? Is something awry in the government? Does it seem like America, being the land of liberty, has been hijacked by something? Okay, the reason we're saying this on a Homestead channel, do you have eyes to see? Why would we say this on a Homestead channel? I just want to talk about goats and meat rabbits and your cows in your greenhouse. You're so negative. You got to be positive. That's horse crap. We have got to be aware. You got to watch that you can be ready. Now, I think that I enjoy probably heavier doses of optimism than 99% of the people I know. But I'm also maybe 99.999% more aware of what's going on than most people I know. And I think that those two things have got to stop. We all have got to be aware. So one of the impetuses of starting this channel was an injunction in Scripture. He who has been warned, warn your neighbor. So my warning voice to you is that the world is on fire and it's time to wake up. You might have anxiety thinking about it, but on the other end of what's coming, if you don't have water, if you don't have shelter, if you do not have food, if you do not have community, that is anxiety. What you're experiencing now is not anxiety. So you got to get over it and you've got to start preparing. So coming up, we are going to do water videos. We're going to do rain catchment videos. I've got some amazing ideas. There's been a lot of opposition in my head to share those videos, and I don't know why, because I feel conflicted. I feel like I need to share, and I feel like I shouldn't share. Whatever. I will also do some videos of the manor. This is another place of security. I'm restoring it because I love old things. It's an 1870 rock pioneer house. Look at this. It's amazing. The porch is on. By the way, if you follow me on Instagram, just Manti Homestead, you get some of the funnier aspects of maybe my personality. I don't really talk much about the doom and gloom in the homestead. It's just random stuff. But anyway, follow me on Insta. We'll see you in the next video. In the comments, please like, subscribe, and comment. Comment on things that you're thinking of. Comment on what's worrying you. Comment on how hard it is to wake your neighbor up. Comment on how maybe you're waking up right now and maybe you're scared. I mean, I read most of the comments. I'm behind, but I do read them and I will catch up because I don't want you to be scared. I want you to be prepared, but I want your eyes open, okay? We're in this together. I mean, in my community, most people don't think this way. And most people wouldn't dare talk this way. Oh my God, have you seen his channel? He's kind of negative. Like, I actually don't care what people think about me, but I do care about people. I care a lot about people. And I think with the amount of chaos in the world, I think you should be prepared. You know, growing up, it wasn't just President Benson, President Hinckley and others warned the community and the church that I'm a part of very often. Messages of preparedness. And so to my friends and neighbors and churchgoers around me that maybe aren't hearing this kind of message, you know, and like, whoa, what the heck? What's up with Nate? I would just submit to you that those leaders were not wrong. They were early. They were early. They had eyes to see. You know, another church leader, David Bednar, during the pandemic, he talked about all these leaders that warned us about preparation. And for the first time in our church in a long time, we talked about food storage all of a sudden. And it was almost as if a revelation to so many people that are members of the church. And they're like, oh my God, we still have to do that? And David Bednar, Elder Bednar, just reminded people, like, we have a whole tapestry. We have all these teachings in our church. You know what? None of that has been rescinded. Oh, so that means I still have to do it? Yeah. If you cannot see, if you don't have eyes to see that you should be doing it without being compelled, then you're probably a slothful and an unwise servant, because it is obvious, folks. It's obvious. We got sicknesses raging right at this time of another election, and we have geopolitics just melting down worse than ever before in our lifetime. Yeah, you probably want to do water and food storage. And you probably want to wake up your neighbor, and you probably want to build your community. You probably want to have spiritual preparation. You got to do it all. There's no excuse. So ending on a positive note, life is good. There's still much that we can do within our power, and there's so much we can do on our homesteads and with our preps so that we take the power into our lives and we don't have to sit around waiting to be a victim of government and global stupidity. I refuse to surrender, and so should you. That's the message. We'll see you on the next video. Like and subscribe, and I'm going to need your help sharing this one because I imagine the First Amendment algorithm is going to come down heavy on this type of topic, but it's important. See you next video. Holy cow. It is raining so hard outside. So look at this. That right there is what you want.